All right, we are live. Welcome in everybody to Bases Loaded Network live feed. I know Matt Williams is on here, but Matt Williams is not actually hosting this, weirdly enough. We are joined by Chris, better known as the baseball podcast guy. Baseball pods guy.
I thought you had a cool nickname.
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute,
The
what's
baseball podcast. It's like in Happy Gilmore.
Guy.
Come see the incredible golf ball whacker guy.
Exactly. Chris, it's obviously Chris from at Baseball Pods. He's putting together this awesome tournament. We just had a crazy finish to one of them. We'll get to that in a little bit. We'll talk about it. But until then, Chris, for those who don't know you, please introduce yourself. Explain what's going on, because somehow, like, you've honestly gone from like literally just starting up maybe a month ago to blowing up, which has been awesome. You're a huge supporter of the industry and we greatly appreciate it. But please explain how pretty much who you are, how this all got started, and where we're at now.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having me. I love you guys. I like all of the. I was talking to Matt. I love the independent. I like all the too many podcasts probably, but I like the independent ones. Probably with a soft spot for them. I'm not going to, since I'm the selection committee for this tournament, I can't like say I had favorites, but man, that was a great matchup. I know we'll talk about earlier today that just ended. So I'm like many years ago, I wrote a lot of fantasy baseball. I wrote for Laura Michaels, Creative Sports when he first started. For no reason, he gave me a shot, and I wrote like almost every day. It was crazy in the mid to late 90s. And then, I met a number of the guys sometimes because Laura would come east for tout wars and other things like that. And I lived in New York, and so we'd hang out a little bit. And then I wrote for Peter Kreitzer's, the National Football and Baseball magazines. Baseball is definitely by far my passion, but football sells a lot more. So that was the way it was then. It's the way it is now, even more probably. But so I loved it. And then, my career got in the way, became a dad, did all these things. And I still loved playing fantasy and played it probably more. I probably play it more now than back then. In fact, I definitely do. And, I think I'm a pretty decent fantasy analyst independently, but I just love fantasy baseball podcasts. And I also I really respect the community. I think, and Mike, you've actually brought this up, recently. I've seen in some of your tweets and some of your columns, just how generous people are, how giving people are with their time. And for me, I just, I love the community and the camaraderie around it. And so, it's a silly little game, I guess. But for me, yes, my wife, it takes up far too much of my time. But, so I was like, how can I, now that I got a little free time on my hands, this was back in February, how can I, give something back to this community? And I got all these podcasts and they're all doing great work, and there didn't seem to be like a common place for them. So I just started a Twitter account, and then it kind of blew up, like you said. I mean, still not that many followers or anything, but pretty much everybody in the industry pretty much follows it and interacts with it. And that's what it's all about for me, is just having fun with people. And then and promoting good work. And then I got this idea for this bracket, and we had in round one, which was it's like a March Madness, April Madness, I guess, style bracket. And I found 64 podcasts, and in round one there were over 20,000 votes cast in round one. And I don't know where we'll be in round two, but today we had 4 matchups, and there were probably 4,500, maybe 4,600 votes cast today. So it's so fun to watch it happen. Into some of the smack talk, Justin Mason is a real character, and he got me today because he was like, can't we all like get along kind of and be nice to each other and not talk smack? And I was like, yeah, that's exactly what I want, Justin. Thank you for saying that. And I went off and I like retweeted with a GIF and 100% da 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 da, and then like right 30 seconds later, he like started just going after Mike Gianella in Baseball Perspective. and
he accused him of child labor.
it's so fun. That's great. I mean, that's just it's great. It's a good time, and there's so many great stories that are coming out of it. And I see, the thing that I love is seeing podcasts that other people haven't heard. They're listening to them and they're getting exposure, and that's really what it's about. We've all heard of RotoWire and ESPN and CBS and Yahoo and The Athletic and all them. It's like, but like giving the independent podcasts some shine, and getting them out there. And I think it's for me, it's just been a blast.
Now we all can, at least the three of us in this chat, can definitely understand.
I told you no one would show up, by the way. It's going to be nice to talk to you and Matt while I was talking.
The idea is to have fun. We'll get some replays.
You two are the worst. I'm out of here.
Well, you know what? I felt bad. I pity invited you. All right. Anyway, I think we can all at least understand the whole wife thing, because I can tell you right now, my wife, like, she tells me I put way too much time and money into this, but I genuinely enjoy doing it. Matt, I'm sure you deal with the same issues at home with the wife and all that. I
No,
can't speak for you.
my wife's the greatest. I don't have any issues.
Yeah. Yeah. My wife's. I don't know if my wife's gonna watch this. We'll see. Her and Justin Mason's wife have been really they get along too well on Twitter, and it scares me, because if that turns into like a little, like housewives type of deal of like baseball Twitter, that'd be kind of interesting. That kind of scares me. But all in all, you're talking about smack talk. I was listening to the podcast. You, Chris, were on the Turn 2 podcast with Matt Williams. Obviously, he's here, and I heard this was this just in. Alex Fast puts ketchup on lobster. I just want to make sure that's broadcasted. It's one of the things I heard on your podcast, Matt. Can you stand by that?
I heard it somewhere. I can't say if it's true or not, but I heard it.
Well, I just want to make sure everybody understands that this is that's a thing. Okay, so there we go. But all in all, man, obviously we've seen some fun banter, some fun matchups. But what has been, like, I guess, the most surprising to you so far in this tournament? Like the round 1 upset, today's matchup's been kind of quote unquote like you mentioned, 4,500 votes. A third of those votes were on one matchup today, basically.
Yeah.
So all in all,
yeah,
it's been kind of fun.
I think. I mean, and Matt, by the way, I told you last time the Welsh had an army, because when we were off camera, I didn't think he was going to beat RotoWire, but I think Chris Welsh has just like a massive amount of loyalty for good reason with his followers, and he's got 2 other squads that he's a part of. So I would watch in this league matchup as they continue, because they've activated that base now in the tournament. The fans are hungry, my friends.
RotoWire activated their base at the last possible second. They came alive in the last 2 hours, it looked like. They're like, hey, there was someone who had a fun. Was it the guys from Baseball Prospectus? He was like, I didn't really think I'd care if I was going to lose. But then they were losing. He was like, now I freaking care. And he's like calling out the vote. Now he's losing. You're like, I don't want to lose.
Welcome, Ray. What's going on?
What's up, hoes?
Ray, stop following me.
What is this, 3 times in like 3 days?
Yeah.
For those who don't know, this is Ray Butler. He is Mr. Prospects 365. Ray and I co-host the podcast. Lately, he's been running it without me because this very little time compared to usual. But all in all, thank you for joining us, Ray. What's going on, man?
Enjoyed another crazy day. First day of this, was it first day or second day of the second round of the Baseball Pods bracketology? Absolutely an insane day. Even like I had anxiety for that matchup. Like, after I went through and I kind of experienced that last week in the first round against the SP Streamer Pod, man, that was even closer than our matchup, and I didn't know if that would be possible in this tournament.
I think you can't tell exactly with Twitter how many because of the decimal points. So it was 49.9 to 50. So RotoWire won 50.1% of the votes to Prospect One's 49.9. It was either 1 vote or 3 votes out of 1,350.
Yeah, absolutely.
You talk about Todd Zola was tweeting every vote counts. Today that was true.
Every vote counts.
You were talking about Welsh having an army. If I'm everyone else, I'd be worried about Toby right about now.
Oh yeah,
Toby's cleaning. Batflip's cleaning house here.
Yeah, for those who don't know, Toby, Batflip crazy, man. It's impressive. It's like every matchup's like 70-30. He's been like running away with it.
And he's not beating nobody. He's beating some good shows.
Yeah, that's another thing. So how many podcasts, Chris, do you listen to a certain amount a day? Obviously you try to listen to everybody. You obviously promote everyone's work. How much do you say on average day do you get through podcast number wise? And what speed do you listen to them on?
Oh, first of all, definitely 1.5 speed. I tried listening on 2. That was a little, I do this to enjoy it. And on 2 speed, you just don't enjoy it at all. 1.5 is fine. It's like in the background of my life. I mean, like when I'm walking the dog, when I'm driving somewhere, when I'm running, when I'm, writing something a lot of the time. Like the way I do it is I do a decent amount of writing, and so I'll have a podcast on the background and I just take little notes on the side for when I hear something really interesting. So I get through, I'd say on average 4 to 5 a day probably during the week. And in all honesty, there's 64 of these. I had not listened to some of these, and in retrospect, I probably would have. And next year, like with more time, instead of just doing this on a lark, I will probably do a little bit more in terms of, ranking people and, just coming up with trying to listen to everybody before I really put them in.
Now, with I was going to ask about the whole ranking system. You mentioned the committee. I've seen your tweets, which are really hilarious because you answer from the form of a committee. Was it really just you, or did you actually have a couple people help you out here?
No, it's just me. I just figured it would be fun.
I laughed every
like
time.
to be like, some people, and there was a couple of fans of a podcast were kind of, and rightfully so, they should have been in, and I missed them, but I was just all right. I'm just going to reply as if the selection committee thinks this is selection committee. Some people were like talking trash about ESPN. I was like, the selection committee stands by the pedigree of the program. Like when Virginia would get a number 1 seed, and you'd just be like, what the hell? Hey, Justin Mason.
It's a party. Welcome in, Justin.
We were praising the child labor joke that no one got to see.
Welcome in, man. What's
Justin
going on?
Mason, I think there's 5 of us and 1 person watching, so enjoy it. Welcome to the party.
That seems about right. So for what it is, yeah. I mean, it's not about how many people watch or listen. It's about whether or not we can get away from our significant others.
True, but we just talked about that. We actually talked about how much trouble we get into. But so what's been your experience overall? I know you've really enjoyed this. I know you've been embracing it and really supportive of it all, Justin. Overall, what's your takeaway? The good, the bad, maybe some of the pros and cons of this?
I mean, it's been fun. I think anything that kills time right now. So I can't hear my voice with these new noise canceling headphones. And that bothers me for some reason. And anytime you can like promote some podcasts that don't get as much attention as they should, it's great. And especially for newer podcasts that, there were podcasts on this list that I had never heard of. And so I've been going through and listening to some pods and one, hearing a lot of the same rookie mistakes that I made when I was first starting out, and two, finding some hidden gems out there. So I think it's a really kind of cool, different thing or different way of shining light on some people in the industry that may not normally get that.
Now, last I looked, now excuse me if I'm wrong, so I hope I'm not rubbing salt in the wound, so to speak, but FWFB pulled the upset off today, correct?
Yes, we did. My goal is to have 3 of the Final 4 podcasts. I doubt it's gonna happen, but
did it line up that way? You can do that.
Yeah. TGFBI and Sleeper in the Bust and Friends of Fantasy Benefits, all in different sections of the bracket. I'm sure that. Sleeper in the Bust. I have a feeling will probably go fairly far on the coattails of Paul. But FWFB has a tough matchup next time against Batflip Crazy.
Oh, you're done.
Yeah, he was the only one who ran away with the votes today.
Both of them, both of his matchups. Now, Ray, you can speak to this. Actually, last week you were in one of the toughest matchups of the first round. What was your? I heard you were an emotional wreck going through that throughout the day. Is that true? Can you confirm that?
It was actually a day that I really wish everything was back to normal, because I would have had school. I would have either had a baseball practice or a baseball game to coach. Instead, I sat on my couch for most of the day. I decided to randomly go on a run during the day just so I wouldn't think about it for a little while. And then I come back, and especially the last few hours, I had kind of widened the margin to maybe 8% or so. And then every 15 minutes or so, they had narrowed the margin back to 7% and then 6%. It was extremely nerve-wracking, especially because there are a lot of people who support the work that Mike and his staff do at the SP Streamer.
And Matt, you've had, I don't want to call it easy run so far because it was only one round, but you lined up against the guy who's the Cinderella story right now. I shouldn't say the guy, the podcast. It's the Cinderella story right now. They took out the 1 seed. You have to be a little nervous, right? Because now they're just a fan favorite. They're just going to go for upsets at this point, I would think. People are just going to vote for them just because.
Yeah, I'm terrified. They took out Yahoo, and I listened to their podcast. They had a decent lead on Yahoo. And I'm like, all right, I've never heard of them. I'm going to listen to them. I shouted them out. I don't know how many people voted for them who have actually ever listened to the show. listen to the show, everybody. If you're gonna, I mean, go. This is the point of this thing. Go ahead and listen to their show. I'm terrified. I'm absolutely terrified. Vote Turn 2 podcast tomorrow because I'm terrified.
Well, we support Turn 2 podcast over here. We will promote you, but I will be voting for the other person just in spite of you. And speaking of, I'm going to need all the help I can get because, of course, I drew pitcherless in the second round. They are the up-and-coming powerhouse, it feels like, and they're a 4 seed, and I'm just going to get bent over. So it is what it is. I'm already
the main issue with them is they have no one who dislikes them. That's your problem.
That is the huge problem.
There's not a single person who dislikes them.
They're reaching that like top, they're reaching their peak, and on their way up, it's like they've pissed off nobody somehow. Meanwhile, I'm over here getting 3-star ratings on my podcast for no reason.
Are you really?
But, oh yeah. Like whose Wheaties did I shit in? Like I don't know what the hell just happened.
Are they actually
Mike
like
the mouth?
Oh,
are they just 3 stars, or do they tell you why?
No, just 3 stars. Like take this, and you'll never know why.
See, this is one of those rookie mistakes that I tell you about. Do not read the reviews. The longer you do this work, the more you will realize do not read comment sections, do not read reviews. If people want to reach out to me on Twitter and say, hey, the audio was a little messed up on this episode, I'm more than happy to adjust things. I tell people on the podcast, like, hey, if there's something you don't like, there's something you think we need to fix, something you do like, feel free to reach out to me. But I do not read reviews because, like you said, some people just want to shit in your Wheaties. It just, there are trolls galore.
I skipped the piss part. I went straight to shitting in Wheaties because pissing in Wheaties wasn't enough.
Mike, the problem I think that you have is that Alex Fast stole your playbook. You said you were going to shave your head if you beat pitcherless, and he went and shaved his head before the game. That is a mental mind game right there.
That's a double middle finger.
I will rock the reverse mohawk for a day. I'm doing it.
See, that's better than shaving your head because you've got about a half inch of hair to begin with. So it'd be like me being like, I'm going to shave my head if FWFB wins this thing. It's like no one cares.
I was trying to be. No, I'm going to go reverse. I'll just strip right down the middle, all the way down the back. I'll rock it for the day. I'll live stream it.
You gotta shave the strip down the middle. You gotta take that hair. You gotta Elmer's glue it to your face like a beard.
Done. I will do full man. No, I will take it and make a full man shoe out of it.
Have someone Photoshop a mock-up. We'll tweet it out.
Yeah.
Oh no, see, it takes away from it. The idea is to do it live. I will try to have my wife. My wife's really against it. I'll have my kid shave my head. I don't care. Yeah, no,
that would be great. How old's your kid?
8.
All right, yeah, just let them have the clippers and go to town.
I will be bleeding. It'll be
paint by numbers thing. Have your wife draw the spots to shave and let your kid try to do it.
Oh, that'd be great. I'll be like a Dalmatian with like little spots over my head.
That actually reminds me of something. I had a bet with Joe Pisapia last year, and the loser had to shave half their face for a day, and I can't remember what the terms were.
Like right down the middle.
yeah, just right down. Like had to shave just half of their face, and I got to go back and listen to the podcast so I can figure out what the terms were.
I'm so jealous.
Maybe you should have remembered what it was before bringing it up, though, Justin.
We're in quarantine. What does it matter?
Yeah, you have nothing but time to kill, right? So might as well. I have a bone to pick with you, Chris. I brought this up. I think I mentioned something. You realize what you did in I don't think you realize what you did in my bracket, but you really put me in a really bad position in round 1. You had Ray Butler, who again I help co-host his podcast. You have SP Streamer, who is a co-host on my podcast. Do you see? You had them face off round 1. Do you see what you did to me? That was like I had to text them both. I was like, "Look, I gave you a tweet from this page. I gave you a tweet from this page. I'm done." Like I put my hands up and I couldn't help promote my guys because they faced off round 1. What the hell, man? Now I get to help promote Ray. I get to go all in and promote Ray. This second time around, and it's gonna be a little more fun to be able to be involved more. But you really put my balls in a vice, man. Like
Chris DM'd me. He's like, "Screw Mike Kurland."
Basically. I definitely think I might even try to do that more next year. Some of that was definitely accidental and happenstance, but
I'm sure.
I think my official response was the selection committee doesn't take into account traditional rivalries. It stands on the seeding process, Yeah. But I'll tell you, there's a couple. So all 4 number 9 seeds won, which was interesting to me. And the second thing that I think that this is like actually applicable to everybody, is it's part of what I talk about on the website that Justin made me build. Is prospects are big, and people don't. You ignore them at your own peril. Look at the upsets. Look at the trend. Look at. I mean, the people that run prospect websites are doing really good and interesting work, and people love it. And that's one of the reasons when I did this little for fun, totally tongue-in-cheek 5 Tools of Fantasy Baseball podcast, it was like I wanted to make sure prospects was actually one of the 5 tools, because I think in order to be a complete podcast, either you better know your stuff or you better know somebody who knows their stuff and bring them on the regular.
And prospect guys are also very, very active on Twitter. The fan base in general, they love to talk to each other because it's not just all data; it's a lot of scouting, and that involves talking to a lot of people too. Hey, Mr. Doctor's in the chat. Anyone who didn't listen to the trivia thing we did last week, there's a guy in the chat. I didn't have my glasses on, so I'm like looking at this guy in the chat. It's like MDRC, so I just kept calling him Mr. Doctor. So that's his nickname. Yeah, Mr. Doctor's in the house.
It's Mike Carter, I believe, and. I think he actually writes for SP Streamer.
Yeah, he's an SP Streamer guy.
Oh, is he?
So put some respect on his name. Put some respect on his name, Matt.
What do you mean? I made him a doctor, Mr. Doctor. He's literally the most respected person on Twitter right now.
All right, Matt, you mentioned you actually had some notes or some talking points. Did you want to bring those up? I don't know. If
I was lying. I was making fun of your lack of organization. Dude, this isn't my show. I don't got to do shit.
Yeah, and the problem is this is my show, and I'm out of things to talk about. Like, it's fantastic.
I host enough programs. I'm just kicking back here.
The idea was just to talk about this, but I mean, we kind of discussed everything, so now it's just an open forum. Ray, I don't know. Well, actually, Justin, I know you have FWFB that just went on this round. Who are where are your other podcasts even located, and who are they facing?
Let's see. The Sleeper and the Bust. We beat Baseball 365 Pod in round 1, and we are facing off against Juiced Balls, which is Brad. Brad Johnson's.
Kurland, did you just shrug your shoulders?
Yeah, I think I remember seeing tweets about him, but I have no idea who.
Because Mason earlier made fun of him. Like, you have a podcast? He said that to him earlier.
Little known fact, and I'll just present this without comment. Juice Balls won in their first round matchup with 69% of the vote.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I think everybody expects Sleeper and the Bust to do fairly well in this. Though we did what we saw round 1, a 1 seed go down.
No, 3. Yahoo was a 3.
Oh, Yahoo is a 3. Okay. Well, here's the thing: the more popular a podcast is, the more detractors it has as well. And those people tend to come out and vote. So my guess is a number 1 seed will not win. Someone predicted that there won't be a number 1 seed in any of the final 4.
Who does ESPN grab tomorrow? Or what are they up in a couple days?
They're Razzball prospects, I believe.
Oh, okay.
That's Razzball prospects put up a pretty good first round too, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Prospect.
Well, I mean, Razzball's got a pretty good following.
That's true. Razzball itself has a good, yeah. CBS, I feel like they're fairly likable. I mean, I know they have one of the highest, followings as far as.
But there are people who hate it. I mean, every podcast that is, that has some juice behind it has people who dislike it, and that's just part of, the more popular a podcast gets, the more difficult it is. So, I mean, I think of like my 3 podcasts, I definitely think like FWFB and TGFBI have a better shot at winning the whole thing than something like Sleeper and the Bust.
Gotcha.
Spore's not going to bring out his army of Twitchers.
I mean, if I can get him away from Twitch for a little while, maybe he does. Maybe he doesn't. I have no idea where it ranks on his priority list.
I think Toby at Backflip Crazy, he's playing like Danny Manning in 1988 on Kansas when he just took the team on his back and carried it to the finals. And I think that guy he's gonna be tough to take down.
Yeah.
The best part is he's a solo act. Like, it's awesome. He is the brand, the man. He is everything. It is fantastic.
Toby's a great dude. I've hung out with him a few times. He's a member of the Barf League. Hung out with him in Arizona for first pitch this last year. Really, really great dude. Really smart dude. And I'm looking forward to taking him down next round.
Oh, it's gonna happen. Oh, he's flexing on him. Great. Round 2. You're a 10 seed, so I believe you're still going to be an underdog this round then. Who do you have? And Obviously, I should know this. I'm supposed to know these things, but I have no idea who.
So
who
we face off against the microscopically small, the Athletic Fantasy Baseball podcast.
That's right.
Never
no
heard
sweat.
Goodness. So yeah, over under 30%. That's all. No, honestly, I said it again. I obviously the Base Loaded Pod faces off against. Oh geez, I'm losing my mind here. The pitcher list, and it's crazy because I straight up told Nick, I was like, Nick, I hate you, but I'm hoping for 30% of the vote. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I mean, obviously, if I can put up a fight, that'd be great. But I realize I have my back against the wall. But I don't know, Ray. I mean, the podcast is relatively new, but you've really built up a real serious following, and a bunch of people really like your work, really enjoy your work. You might put up more of a fight than you give yourself credit for, or at least maybe you're giving yourself credit. And I'm not.
I didn't give myself any amount of credit. You're the one like, 30% of the vote under over.
Fair enough. I was the one talking shit on the podcast. I don't know. I like to keep my expectations low. So if we put up a fight, I'm a little happier about it. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah,
I think you're going to do well. I think they're going to do well, and I think the only reason that they're a 10 seed is because it was a relatively new podcast.
Yeah.
That's how I thought about it. Next year, I mean, they're going to be in the moving way up, and you look at like the Welsh too. I mean, you look at Prospect One, and like I swear to God, if there's anyone I owe money to, it's probably him because I have Julio Rodriguez everywhere because of him. And I think, he's him and Ben Badler have probably given me more Dynasty League stashes than anybody on earth. So I love those guys. And the fact that he lost by either 1 or 3 votes today out of 1,351 votes is crazy. But it just goes to show you, like, first of all, the time Matt brought this up earlier, like the timing of this, there's a lot of people at home with nothing to do, right? So I get that. But I still can't believe that we had 20,000 votes in the first round. I mean, that's just crazy to me. And like that, when I looked at Twitter, they give you the data, over 8,000 views of the tweet where you vote today, RotoWire versus Prospect One. Just
hold on. How many views?
8,300.
Why aren't you voting, people?
Yeah, only 1/8 of the people voted.
Well, why view that?
Half of those views were me just like hitting refresh over and over.
Hold on. How many people go through even if you're voting on something where you literally, if it's in German, you don't even know what it says. How many people can resist clicking on an option?
I think it was the refresh button. I think Ray's right, Matt. I think
the refresh. Does it count the refresh?
I think so. Yeah, it's like how many times is someone looking at this page? I'll bet it was. I bet half of those were RotoWire and
That's true. Look what you've done, man. You've created monsters among us. Like, we're all like just fiending for these answers. We actually did get a question, and it's a question we have no idea how to answer. Terry Carlton 67. How many games do you think this season will be this year? We'll start with you, Matt. I haven't given you a chance to speak much. I know it's weird. Normally you're hosting these things. I apologize.
If I had to put a bet based on what I'd put money on, it's 100 because there's only one plan that's been leaked, and that's for a July 1st-ish start for 100 games. So I will go with that. That's the only thing to really go on. So it seems like the safest bet for now.
Chris, what about you?
I go lower. I think it's more likely to be 80, but Matt and I were talking about this the other day on turn 2. I'd be happy with the 30 game round robin. I'd be happy with, as long as everyone's safe, we can watch baseball. That's what it's all about for me. I mean, I'm watching KBO highlights,
yeah, I heard you mentioning. That's awesome.
2:00 in the morning, I'm sipping a whiskey and rooting for Dixie Machado to go yard.
Hell yeah. Is there any other way to live? You're living your best life right now in this quarantine, my friend. Ray, what number would you put on? I know we spoke about it recently on a podcast, actually, and I know this news kind of broke, I believe, just after. So I want to get your thoughts, actually.
Yeah, I wish I could be unique here, but I do feel like the number is 100. I don't think it's going to go over that. I think it could very well be less than 100. Anything more, I would be shocked / pleasantly surprised. I just think in the time frame we're going to have to play regular season games, much more than 100 games, and you're really beginning to kind of put pitcher health at risk, in my opinion.
Gotcha. Justin, last but not least.
0. I don't think there is a season.
Ouch.
Unfortunately, I don't think that this situation is going to resolve itself anytime soon. I work for a government organization. I won't say which one, so I don't get in trouble. But they're preparing for this to go on through summer, and that's probably seems like a likely scenario. And it sucks, and it's unfortunate because I've got way too much money tied up into fantasy leagues this year that are all going to get refunded. And while I won't lose any money this year, I'm not going to make any money, which is kind of a bummer. So. Yeah, I mean, I hope the answer is 80 or 100, but I think it's just as likely that we don't have baseball this year.
I think the big caveat is we're dealing with billionaires that don't care. We've seen the plans to possibly have the entire season play out in Arizona today. Yeah. They seem like crazy ideas. You got to like quarantine so many people. Like you got the crew, you got the players, the coaches, the umpires, and it seems like a horrible idea. But the reason they gave up all that service time, which the owners obviously don't want to do, is so they can go around the current collective bargaining agreement to force extra games upon the players. So I don't know if 100 is the number. I don't know if it's 0, but I feel like the owners are going to do whatever is humanly possible to put baseball on.
Yeah, one of the things that I would be more likely to go with Justin, except for the fact that the owners agreed to the service time. I mean, like, is that really like? Are we really going to see Mookie Betts like not play a game this season? We're going to see like Marcus Stroman not play a game in New York. You know, it's just because they gave service time, it makes me think that they must have some serious hope, or else I don't know why they would have done it.
No, I mean, I agree. I think at the end, money talks. And if they can play, they will. I just don't think we've even seen the worst of what is yet to come. And one of the agreements was that they had to be able to, one, travel safely, and two, they had to be able to guarantee the safety of the players and if there were fans. And I just don't know at what point we still have like 9 states that have not shut themselves down. Like, so, I mean, at what point are they going to be able to do that? And what happens if they start playing games and all of a sudden 6 members of the Orioles get COVID or, you know, or whatever? I mean, I just think there's a chance we see games, and I think there's a chance that it ends up getting shut back down again.
Well, that would be chaos for us.
Man, that'd be
chaos
terrible
for the fantasy industry.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, I'm kind of in line with your thinking, Justin, because, I mean, as what I do for a living, obviously, as a firefighter paramedic, we haven't seen the worst of it even in my area. And I know it's only going to get worse. The hospitals are filling up a little more every day. We're getting more and more of those calls coming in. So and they've even mentioned that we haven't hit our peak. I have a chance to speak with some of the doctors in the ER, and unfortunately, it's a very bleak situation right now. They have no idea what's going to happen, but all their estimate, all of them suggest that they're like, yeah, this is just the beginning more so than the end. And we're talking about it possibly peaking in late June. I've heard that number. I've heard that thrown out. So if it's peaking, or late May, sorry, if it's peaking in late May, we're still talking about its peak. So now here comes the come down. I don't understand. And they want to squeeze in a spring training as well, albeit a smaller one. I don't see how they're going to squeeze in a 3-week, 2-week spring training and get everything logistically working out by July 1st or even July at all. And obviously that deal was struck prior to a lot of these estimations even being out there, I believe. A lot of it's been pushed back. Timelines and all that have been pushed back. And this was all after this deal was in place for the service time and all that. So that probably wasn't a factor at the time. I could be wrong. I have no idea, but that's just me speculating.
Way to bring down the room, man.
Yeah, I'm sad. I'm sad now.
You know what? If I do anything, wait, you know what? Give everyone. There you go.
Give everyone hydroxychloroquine. The doctor's in.
The doctor spoke.
This is a doctor. He's got the answers.
I hope I'm wrong. I hope that we're going, because, I mean, companies like one I work for, like Fangraphs, like they cannot afford to not have baseball. They can't afford not having, and I want a job still. I mean, and I miss baseball. I watched all 4 games that the Giants won against the Royals in 2014 yesterday. That's what was playing on my TV for 12 straight hours. The there were parts of me like that was like still excited because it's like, oh, it's baseball, but like I know how it ends, and it's just not the same. Like, I'll give me like really shitty call. If I had to watch the Orioles play the Tigers every day for 162 games, I would do that at this point. So
just
like,
give me Matt Boyd. Just give me Matt Boyd. That's all
I want
I
a shuffle button on MLB.com, so they'll just give me a random game. I don't need a classic game. I need any game. Give me a Wednesday, the Padres versus the Reds, and I don't know what's going to happen. I won't look up the box score. Just surprise me.
Yeah, I just, I do. I miss baseball, and and the idea that like not only could we lose baseball, but like football could start late. Like that's all of that is a huge bummer. We already lost like the end of basketball and the end of hockey, in their seasons. I'm so bored right now. I joined a 3-sport league draft, and I've been drafting my baseball team is sick. I know nothing about basketball, absolutely nothing. I have not watched like basketball since like my freshman year of high school when I stopped playing basketball. So like, but it's, yeah, I hope I'm wrong. I really do. But I at this point, it's hard to have any hope that things are going to get much better anytime soon.
Well, what I've done to help kill time, and the only sports related thing if you want to call it sports, I guess esports. I created, or I helped create, or helped run. I don't know what I did. Actually, you know what? I just helped promote it. Was MLB The Show 30-team league. And we drew some, like, we have a couple analysts in there from like Prospects Live. We have, Ryan Bloomfield. They have terrible names. I'm terrible names.
Baseball HQ, yeah.
Yeah. Just, I don't know why I'm terrible names. I've interacted with. We have him. We actually got Ben Verlander, little Verlander's brother. Verlander's little brother. Jeez, I'm terrible. We just got a bunch of people but it picked up so much steam because everyone's like, you know what? Let's do it. I'm terrible. I'm like 5-15, but I've played 15 games of this damn game that I'm terrible at.
If you're 5-15, you've played more than 15.
I played 20. I've been quarantined. I'm so bad.
In your quarantine, you should get a book about math.
Mike Kurland, bad at names, worse at math.
And oh god, my kid's homework. Forget about it. I'm done. He's getting C's and I can't explain it. I have no idea what's going on. Oh man, I lost my train of thought now because I'm really terrible at all this.
This is like salt in the wound for Justin. Weren't you campaigning for PS4? The poor guy can't have one. Yeah, you're like we have a tournament of thousands of people who are playing this game.
Yeah. I've been wanting a PS4 for quite. I have not played a video game since my eldest daughter was like a baby, and baby, because I used to like sit her in the bassinet next to me, like keep it moving with my foot, and I'd play Madden. Like I have a PS2. Like that's the last time I played a video game. And so I've been campaigning for quite a while to get a PS4, and now it's turned into a meme because my wife is just crushing my hopes and dreams every chance she gets.
Well, honestly, you should be very thankful because I can promise you the amount, like my vocabulary. You think my math's bad? My vocabulary is shrunk to like 8 words while playing the game, and 7 of them are curse words. Like I don't say anything, but like dropping F-bombs, like name it, I'm saying it, but I'm not saying anything else because that game is nothing but frustration, and it's legitimately driving me crazy. But I still play it, and I've played 20 games because I think something like that. I can't do math. We get the point though. I've played 20-ish games, and it's just, yeah, I know. Ray's over counting fingers. Like, yeah, totally understand it. I'm off. But it's been bittersweet, honestly.
How many pitches per at bat do you get in that game? I think I tweeted this, but I'm not even joking. I've been playing this game for over a month. I've yet to take one walk. I swing at the first pitch almost every at bats. I think it was a challenge. Go ahead and bring it. I will belt it out of the yard anyway.
I am the Tim Anderson of MLB The Show players. I'm not there to take walks.
We got a 333 batting average and on-base percentage.
On base percentage is like 329 with a 333 batting average. It makes no sense, but I figured out a way in this game. But yeah,
Justin, I have a question for you. If your a dire prediction comes true, how are you going to do TGFBI next year? Are you reseeding? Because
I would.
I built an entire website to get in that damn.
Oh no! I mean, everybody would have to go back through the application process. It would start it would be. I would just claim myself the 2020 champion,
Fair.
Of course.
That feels like the best thing to do, because otherwise I'll never win this fucking thing. Like, I had my shot when there was 190 people. Now there's 400, and it's like, yeah, I mean, now it's just a huge crapshoot. No, I mean, I would redo the whole thing. If you think seeding is hard for your 64 podcast tournament, try seeding 395, fantasy analysts and not ending up with people from the same site or same podcast in the same league. Because I know, Mike, you ended up in the same league as someone from one of your pods, right? Yeah. So it's just I agonize over the decisions on like who to put, what person where. So it usually takes me about a full month of like moving people around, and I still make mistakes like that. But yeah, no, it would just be. It would just be done over again. I mean, it would be a huge bummer, for TGFBI, especially for those who donated money to get in satellite leagues. I'd probably just give them, just let them be in the leagues they were going to be in, and then, start other satellite leagues as well. But yeah, let's hope it doesn't happen. Let's hope I'm wrong and we get 100 games, because that would be awesome. 100 games, like, just lock all Major League Baseball players in the same like stadium for the next 5 months, and don't.
I think
Chris mentioned this.
Ronaldo bought an island. Maybe he'll let the baseball players come there.
That would be awesome. Now, you said, or Chris mentioned earlier, which is never going to happen, but the thought of it. He said, let's just have 30 games. Just everyone plays each other once. Every game would be like the freaking World Series. It would be amazing. They should do that.
That would be a lot.
Justin, which is harder, seating TGFBI or listening to the people complain about how slowly people pick in TGFBI?
Oh,
no, I mean, seeding TGFBI is way tougher. Like, I was in one of the slowest drafts. I think it was the second slowest draft. It can be really frustrating. Like, I totally get it. And at the same time, you're actually at a disadvantage to be going fast. And we saw that this year with the amount of pitcher injuries that were happening, because, there were leagues where guys drafted Severino and then 2 days later he was having Tommy John, or if you drafted Chris Sale, all of a sudden, now he's got an elbow issue, he's going to be out, and then eventually getting Tommy John. So you're actually at a huge disadvantage by having a league that finishes quickly, but everybody wants to be in the league that finishes quickly.
Yeah, exactly. Ray, I got to ask now, because I'm bringing back the doom and gloom because I can't help myself. Say we lose a year, and as a prospect guy, you see these prospects working on their own, batting practice, field, whatever you see videos of. If we lose a full season, we're talking about potentially a full year of at least eyes on these players as far as fundamentals, as far as like what's going on, as far as their growth. Would you have to essentially restart your process of scouting some of these guys to see where they're at, see how they've grown on their own, if they've taken steps backwards, or would you just kind of assume they've picked up where they left off? Like, how would you go about your assessment of players with a full season of lost baseball?
Yeah, it would definitely be, I would have to take a step back and kind of reevaluate, reach out to the people who I talk to for prospects that I don't get an eye on during the season. And that wouldn't really happen until next spring training, when the minor leaguers come in and minor league spring training starts. It'd be really, really tough. And we would have so much less information than we're going to have if the MLB season gets canceled this year. We're still going to be able to do research, and we'll be okay preparing for MLB drafts, fantasy drafts next year. But as far as the process goes, evaluating prospects, evaluating talent, that goes, it'll be really rudimentary, really simple, and just kind of starting over on a lot of these guys, especially the younger ones. Like Jason Dominguez, there's really no other prospect in baseball who's receiving the amount of hype that he's receiving, to the point where I think it was pretty well understood the Yankees were going to give him the chance to start in the Gulf Coast League this year instead of in the DR and the Dominican Summer League. But now the word is, even if there is a season, Dominguez is probably going to kind of be kept at the Yankees complex and have like an extended spring training, play kind of inter squad scrimmages versus other spring training minor league teams. So the amount of eyes we're going to be able to have on these prospects, even with a season, is going to hinder a lot of our evaluation process.
Gotcha. I found that very intriguing because I know I'm no prospector. I take the easy way out, and I just take the stats that are handed to me by every other site. But I know, like you mentioned, Fangraphs is getting hit hard. I mean, I've donated money. I know others have. I mean, but I don't know. I mean, I'm hoping for the best because I know Fangraphs is one of the go-to sites. At least for me personally, I'm very big on promoting it and all that. So I obviously anybody listening back, all 9 of you watching, 10 of you watching right now, throw a few bucks Fangraphs way. They truly deserve it. It's a free resource. Why not donate in a time of need to it? Such a resource that if you don't use it, I guarantee you your favorite fantasy analyst utilizes it. It is a essential tool to what a lot of us do.
And if you can't afford to donate, like go there daily and click on articles, read articles. Because I mean, what's happened is the traffic has just gone down, 60 to 70%, and that's, a site that relies on traffic, for their ad revenue. You lose it, and all of a sudden you can't pay the bills, and we lost a lot of good writers, because of that. I mean, I was lucky enough to survive that wave of cuts because I do the podcast. I mean, that's the honest truth. It's not because I'm a better writer than some of the people that left. I just, have another skill that helps me stay on board for a little bit longer. But I mean, if you can't afford to do the $20 membership or, or whatever it is, then just go and click on articles, like, set it as your homepage. Like, so that way when you bring up your first, screen of the day, it goes to Fangraphs. Hey, that helps out a little bit.
You should get that trending online. Do that once a day. Post it out. Hey, everybody, go to Fangraphs and search for this player. Put out a trivia question that requires everyone to go to Fangraphs to find the answer.
Look for the F4 of Jose Altuve.
I'm gonna go set all my. I got like 32 devices in my house between 3 kids, my wife, and I'm gonna set them all now. I'm gonna go do that.
And then refresh them every 10 minutes.
Yeah. Fangraphs and Baseball Reference strike me as resources that people take for granted until they're gone.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, think about, I can't tell you how many times I get on Fangraphs every day. So to think about no longer having that resource because I kind of took unfair advantage of it while we had it, it's just wild to think about. I think that's why it's so important that if you can, please support what they're doing on that site.
Yeah, the last time I was on one of these live casts with you guys, I think it was the Turn 2 one, maybe a week or so ago. Like somebody asked me, like, "Hey, how can we support, people, and like, what's the best thing to go buy?" And I said, like, if you've got writers or podcasters or people in the industry you like, go support them. And this is the time to do it. Like if you use Fangraphs. Like now's the time to like go and keep your prep going and keep going to the site because it could definitely use the help.
And then we have here Exit Velo. I believe this is Brent. He's a good guy. He runs the Exit Velocity podcast, and he mentioned right here, if anything else, like go take a look. You mentioned you want to continue your prep. Go look at the roster resource. Go look at the Fangraphs roster resource page. They have some of those guys over there do really good work and up-to-date rosters even right now. Like they're up to date at the best of their ability because they're basing it off the latest spring training trends. Like, so there's a lot of that going on. It's again just a resource I know I've taken for granted, and it's unfortunate. I mean, like you said, you don't know what you got till it's gone. That's with everything except for women. I'm okay with when they're gone.
It's the same thing on the news. Everyone says everyone's hoarding groceries. You're getting canned goods, frozen stuff, things that'll last a while. No one's buying fresh fruit and vegetables, and in turn, that's gonna put a lot of farmers out of business. And that's something they're trying to make a lot of people aware of now. Go buy fresh produce. People are worried that they have to clean everything, but that'll be like it's the same thing. It's kind of the same exact thing as Fangraphs. It's like this thing you're constantly there. You don't think you're going to support it, therefore it'll be okay. But if everyone neglects it, it'll be gone. So
if I didn't eat vegetables before COVID, I'm not eating them now.
You can't make me. You can't make me. Now, I know this is a little bit not a little bit. This is completely off topic. But am I the only person still shocked that it's been like a few months into this and I still can't find toilet paper every day? And I go to
a few months. Walmart. It's been like 3 weeks.
It feels like it's been a few months. Jeez. Again, you're talking about me with math.
There's this one local store that always has some. Like people clear it out, but it's on the bottom shelf, and there's always one in the back, and I refuse to tell anyone where it is. So every time I go there, there's one in the back, And like, do I have plenty? Probably, but I'm always worried because I can never find it anywhere. So if I see it, I'll buy it. If someone else needs it desperately, I have it for you. I'm not a hoarder.
You know what? I think we're gonna do a giveaway. Next
Giveaway.
person
Ship
that
it.
retweets this gets one roll toilet paper from Matt Williams.
Hey, got one square. We got to be fair here.
Square. Yeah.
He's taking it apart, putting it in dime bags, shipping it off to
Rationing.
people. Yeah.
Priorities, man. Priorities.
I'll tell you, Ray. One of the things that I've decided to do. I've never been good at baseball, but I figure this is a good opportunity to try to close the gap between me and Jason Dominguez as a 45-year-old man. So I went and got. I literally have a bucket of balls that came in the mail today, and I've got a big net, and I got my Louisville Slugger, and I'm gonna go out there with a tee, and we're gonna take some hits. I'm gonna get that hit tool down.
Nice.
Yeah, put on that Tom Umansky video with the Fred McGriff wearing the hat. That's really good.
You know what?
I want video or it didn't happen.
There it is. There it is.
Live stream that.
Live stream that.
I don't know if this is gonna work. We're gonna try this because you mentioned your website. I'm gonna see if I can. I don't think it's gonna let me because there's 5 of us. I was trying to pull up. Let it share. I don't think it's gonna let me. Too many people on here. I was gonna go ahead and get your website live on here, but let's talk about one last thing before we get you out of here. And I know maps is a big thing you discussed and stuff. And again, your website.
Oh, hold on. Actually, I have to go. I was supposed to be off a long time ago. I didn't realize the time it was. So now you can put it up on your screen. But thank you for inviting me. Have fun, fellas. Now you can put up his site.
Yeah, we'll try.
Matt.
Thank you for joining me, man.
Any problem. See you guys.
Great seeing you, Matt.
All right, let's do some more promotion if we can. It's not letting me. What the hell? I'm really bad at this whole host thing.
I'm gonna start talking about it.
Go for it. See if I can figure it out.
Don't worry about it. And Maps is not a big thing. Maps is just totally fun. But like, I listen to so many damn podcasts. I was like, you know what? Like, let's come up with what makes a podcast great. So I figured I'd have fun with I love the scouting stuff. As I said, the 5 tools of fantasy podcasting, and it's I came up with 5 different things that I think great podcasts do well. There you go.
Ooh,
look at you with the tech skills, Kurland. Beautiful.
Is that Pornhub in your tabs?
Maybe. Is it sad? I went through and made sure I deleted anything inappropriate. I was like, what's this? Okay, this is good. This is good. This is mega what? Oh, megaphone. Okay.
I have a great story I could tell about that offline sometime. But
boring.
But no. So it's the idea is a well-rounded podcast should have 5 tools. So management is the first one. It's the M. It's like everyone talks about drafts constantly. I'll tell you one thing, especially in draft season, people talk about draft. But like actually managing your team throughout the year is a skill. And there are some podcasts that are really, really good at it, and others that don't really dig into it enough. So I think that's the first one. The second one is analytics. It's not just about having the analytics. It's about being able to explain it to them, to people like me and Mike that can't do math. So, it's not like I don't want to hear sometimes I'm listening to podcasts and I'm like, all right, you just said 7 consonants in a row with your new tool that you built. And it's like, break it down. Bubba, shout out another great podcast. He had John Metzelaars on, but John has developed a new tool that was really interesting. And one of the things I love about Bubba is that he takes these really complex math problems and he explains them to you in a way that most people can understand. And so that's just a great example of using analytics. And then personality, you don't want too much of it, some might say, but if you don't have any of it, you're boring as hell. We do listen to this to be entertained and educated. And then prospects being the 4th one. Some people might say, well, I'm not a prospect podcast. I was like, you don't have to be a prospect expert. Prospecting is its whole specialty. But if you don't have someone on there that knows prospects, that's part of your core team, you need to bring people on. It's kind of like, being someone that runs a school in California and saying you don't have anyone that speaks Spanish. That's going to be a problem for you. Then you need to be able to communicate with people. It's a totally different skill set, but it's related. And if you don't have it, you're not going to communicate with your audience. Then the last one is strategy, and this is the one where I think there's a lot of room for growth across the whole industry. I'd say Ariel Cohen does a really good job on TGFBI of strategy. He's probably like the podcast that spends the most time on it. And I get that it's hard because there's so many different formats, and strategy and head-to-head is different than strategy and points. But it isn't. But I don't think every analyst understands how much their format influences their valuing. Like the CBS sports guys play a lot of points And so like when they're talking, sometimes I'll be disagreeing with them, and I'm realizing actually it's just, well, they're talking about points. Or ESPN, you know, they have a shallower league that they usually play with. So I just think you have to be able to understand the different formats and spit out different strategy for each one. So just something for fun. A couple of podcasts have asked me to grade them. I don't know that I'm actually ever going to do that publicly. Maybe I will, but for right now, it's just, you know, fun. It's fun. Oh, Justin, you're nodding vigorously. I should give you some grades.
No, don't do it. Is what I'm saying. Like,
I agree.
I said I was going to review some podcasts, and then I went and listened to a bunch of them. I was like, oh no, I'm not doing this. I don't want to get into these feelings.
Well, personally, like I guess I'm, you know, I have thick skin for the most part. Nothing really hurts my feelings. I take everything, even negative things, as criticism, because the idea is to get better. And I never thought there'd be a day where I'd be able to host this and not stumble over my words. And I held true to that. I stumble over my words. I can't do math in front of people live. Like, this is awesome. But like in all seriousness, though, like I take the feedback I get, negative and positive, and I still try to just make it better, because I've only been doing this for a little over a year now, and there's I don't care how long you've been doing this. There's always ways to improve your craft, and I view this as a craft. So if you were to sit there and go out of your way to grade mine behind the scenes in person or on your site, I wouldn't take it personal. But that's me personally. I know not everybody is like that. I welcome criticism, good, bad, or otherwise. And I know what to ignore. And honestly, the best, like Reddit, like you think Twitter's bad, Reddit's worse. And Reddit is like there's trolls, and then there's like trolls from the pits of hell. And that's where those guys are. And realistically, like, you know how you get rid of them? They come in hard. They come in like furious. And you just say, you know what? I appreciate your feedback. Thank you so much. I'll take that into consideration. Either they shut up, or they're like, oh, well, I'm glad you took it that way. And then they're really nice. So you kill them with kindness. That's been my experience. And it works.
Well, like
every time, no, but
it's mostly for entertainment purposes. Although obviously, I think there's some truth in a lot of what I'm writing. I wouldn't have taken that time to write it, but I'm not here to like judge or give grades. I'm here to have people like. So the website is baseball-pods.com. Like I said, if you don't like it, you can tweet at Justin Mason, because he made me build it.
I think it's great. I think I really like what you're doing there. So I'm glad I guilted you into it, or forced you into whatever way you want to put it, because I think it's a really cool website.
I appreciate it. We got Justin also inspired the Nerf League, which eventually, when we have baseball, we'll draft. He and Laura Michael started the Bay Area Roto Fantasy League, Barf League. And I decided to try to build one in New England, and was overwhelmed by the response that we got. Justin really helped me out in getting that filled. And we've got some. If you look at that website, you'll see just some of that page on baseball-pods.com. You'll just see some of the smartest analysts around, and it's really, really, really exciting. So it's just been great to launch it. And like I said, I'll be putting up fantasy content throughout the year. Ray, I've got my version of Dynasty Prospects on there. I'd love for you to rip it apart. And I told Ian Kahn I'm going to work on Dynasty next.
So cool. And here's the Nerf League you were talking about. Yeah, I remember when you sent me that email, I was super excited, but at the same time, super upset I couldn't join you because of location purposes. But I'm trying to scroll down to this awesome trophy you have. Like, look at that thing. It is spectacular. It is awesome. And great name, by the way. Like, it was fantastic. Fantastic all around trophy name, all that good stuff, man. It was a great idea. I love the piggybacking on the Barf League idea. And of course, I pull up Fangraphs.
Yeah, pull up Fangraphs every time. It's for me. It's just what I said this to Matt the other day. The fantasy baseball community is just like such a great place. Everyone is warm, supportive, and welcoming. I mean, there's obviously exceptions everywhere, but I think pound for pound, it's just one of the nicest communities and more welcoming. And I'm just trying to figure out how I can support that sense of community and bring people together more and more, because I think we don't have quite enough of it right now.
Why did Twitter spam your site for the first few days?
I think that
was so weird.
It was. I think it was because it was something to do with WordPress when we built it. My brother-in-law built the site, Efrain Ramos. He's a really good designer, as you can tell. He also put together the logo. And if you want to, if you're looking for any graphic designer, podcasting, producing, he doesn't know anything about baseball. He's a big Celtics guy, but it's at Efrain Carmelo. That's his middle name. He even has a basketball middle name, but he built it. He did it, but I think he told me that it just took them 3 days. For whatever reason, they thought it was spam in the beginning. It might have been the dash in the middle, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It has a little of everything. It's pretty cool, man. It's very, very simple, but very, very clean and easy to get through. So that's kind of just like a podcast. It's all about accessibility, right? Accessibility, the look of it, kind of like, I see what you did there. You took your own maps and put it into your site. I like it. But we've been doing this for an hour, guys. I mean, if you guys got to go, I understand. I mean, I wasn't expecting to run this long.
I got it.
I'll say before we run out of here, everybody please plug your stuff. And obviously, I'm leaving Fangraphs up here. I have to. So with that being said, though, Chris, thank you for joining us. Where can everybody find you? What do you have going on?
I will continue to run this tournament, and you obviously follow me at Baseball Pods. Check out the new website, baseball-pods.com.
Cool. I just want to make sure I put this down because Pitcherless is going down. Ray, of course. Where can we find you and all that good stuff? Obviously, it says it, but those might be listening with their in a pocket. I don't know what people are doing. Just plug your stuff, man. I know you're always working on stuff. I think you released something today.
At Prospects365 on Twitter. The site is prospects365.com. We go Thursday, I think, in the second round of the Baseball Pods Fantasy Baseball Podcast Bracketology Tournament. Make sure if you like the pod and support it, make sure you vote for us. We're going to need all the help we can get.
And Justin, sorry, I was looking at Justin.
I like your little scroll.
You were. Oh yeah, naturally. This is like This is nice, friendly banter.
Mm-hmm.
I'm being polite.
Yeah, no.
Must go down. Take down the corporate giant is what I was gonna say.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I was just laughing because Justin, you almost looked up like as in okay, you can introduce me now. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot because.
It just got quiet all of a sudden. I didn't know if I was supposed to talk or not.
Yeah, no, Justin, go ahead and finish us off here, man. I know you're a busy man. Plug your Twitter, all that good stuff.
Yeah, you can reach me on Twitter at Justin Mason FWFB. I run Friends of Fantasy Benefits and TGFBI at Fantasy Benefits at TGFBI. And then you can always hear me on the Sleeper in the Bus podcast with Paul Sporer. And we're going to be recording, and I think we're drafting sports movies tomorrow. So that should be fun.
I did listen to the last one I got a chance to listen to because I still listen on my commutes to work. Was the board? I think it was the board game or the game one.
Yeah, where I crushed him pretty easily in the board game one. We just did a podcast, Paul and I, with our significant others. So if you haven't listened to the most recent Sleeper in the Bust, we drafted hour-long TV shows. It was a 2-hour-long podcast with my wife and Paul and his girlfriend Jen. And I crushed them all in that. I mean, and we did a poll, and I think I got 43%, and it just destroyed all of them. It was great. It's fun to be drafting something. I know there are some degenerates out there that are still drafting fantasy baseball squads right now.
Yeah.
And I can't. I'm just not knowing like what is going to happen this season. I'm not drafting another team until that happens. Outside of the 3-sport draft I'm doing. But,
which is all baseball anyway. Like you said,
you should look at this team, dude. I mean, I've got Max Muncy, Albies, Javier Baez, Jose Ramirez, Mike Trout, Christian Yelich, Eloy Jimenez, Starling Marte, Nelson Cruz, JD Martinez, DeGrom, Scherzer, Corbin, Yu Darvish, Charlie Morton, and Aroldis Chapman. It's a dynasty league, so it's my basketball team are a bunch of guys no one's ever heard of, much less me.
Punting an entire sport this time, I see.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a strategy.
I figure I was going to finish last in it anyways. I might as well just steer into that skid. I'll be writing some stuff up for Fangraphs and Friends of Fantasy Benefits, and hopefully we'll get some baseball so we can talk more about TGFBI.
Okay.
Hey.
Come here, CJ. Might as well. Come here. You said no? Come here. Come say hi. Come here. Why are you naked?
I was about to say.
I had to go see my cat. I heard a smash, and I was waiting for it. Come here. Come say hi. At this point, you have to come say hi. No? My 3-year-old just told me no and walked away. He's learning from his mother. All right. On that note, I'm going to go ahead and obviously get out of here, guys. I appreciate you all joining me. I really do. Obviously, you can find us on Twitter and all that good stuff. But until next time, guys, we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks.
Yeah,
Thanks.
Yeah, man. No problem.